We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
This is from Sun. I'm probably saying that wrong. Anyways, this is from Vietnam, so there we go. Another country on the tick list. Someone needs to make a map and put some AVRant pins in it.
That's right.
So Sun says he's found AVRant through randomly browsing on YouTube, and he liked our show, so he decided to email us. That's great. Thank you, Sun.
Thank you.
He has a dedicated 2-channel system with a pair of Klipsch 160M bookshelf speakers and a Cambridge Audio CXA60 integrated amp. After a year of using just the speakers, he decided to add a subwoofer to the system. The CXA does provide an RCA subwoofer output, although it does not offer any crossover adjustments. He did some research and checked out some brands that often pop up in advertisements on AV websites. That's easy to do. And he noticed the brands like SVS and JL Audio that offer some fairly compact models with high wattage amplifiers. But he also came across a lot of praise for REL subwoofers, particularly among 2-channel audiophiles. There's your problem right there. He knows that that the REL subwoofers might have higher prices and lower wattages. He also read through their brochures and manuals and saw that they recommend using high-level speaker wire inputs rather than typical RCA subwoofer input, with the claim that it helps their sub to blend better with the main speakers. So is that true? And should he buy an REL subwoofer, or would an SVS or JL Audio model be better? Well, first of all, Sun, thank you for emailing us from Vietnam and for finding us on YouTube and proving that YouTube is actually doing something and validating all the work that Austin is doing. Thank you, Austin. You could put one down in the win column. Yeah, okay. So REL, Rob, refresh my memory. I seem to remember us talking about them recently. Are they the ones that came out with a new sub that we liked?
Nope.
Okay. That's
no.
Who am I thinking of?
Might have been Power Sound. That was recently we talked about.
No. It was somebody new that we don't talk enough about.
RSL.
That's the one. All right. So one
RSL,
letter off.
Very different.
All right. So, Son, and this you got to understand we've all done this journey that you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've all walked these same footsteps. It's a well-trodden path paved by the likes of Rob and I many times over. Sometimes we do it over again just because we forget and start going down the rabbit hole. Yeah. So whenever it's very dangerous to start comparing just specs, you're just looking at amplifier wattage and other things and saying, well, maybe that this is an absolute definer of quality. What does amplifier power give you? Well, it gives you the ability to hopefully play louder and often to fill up more space. Is that always the case? Not necessarily.
Yeah, sometimes it depends on the driver, right? The driver's impedance, the driver's sensitivity, and then the cabinet size.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes what it gives you, you have a very small box with a very big driver in it, and it's sealed, and you're trying to get sound out of it, so you need to pump a bajillion watts in it to make it happen. Does that make that itty-bitty subwoofer better than some lower wattage subwoofer that is much larger in a ported box? Well, it's smaller and it's going to play, quite loud considering its size and quite low considering its size. But the other one is probably going to play louder and lower, even though it has less watts. If that makes sense. It's just because of the design of the subwoofers.
Give up, having the larger physical size.
That's
the
right.
Trade-off.
That's right. So by by comparing these very specific things, you're sort of misleading yourself in a way, or you're trying to find an easy shortcut for which subwoofers are better than other subwoofers and what kind of specifications should you look for. It's a whole, you have to take a holistic look at the sub. What is the sub trying to do? Now, in that vein, you haven't told us anything about the size of the room that you're trying to put the subwoofer in, or how close you're sitting to the sub, or what you're actually trying to do with it. So I mean, you've got a two-channel system with an integrated amp and some bookshelf speakers. In my mind, you're in an office. You're sitting at a computer, and this is what you listen to when you're doing your work. Is that true? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe this is
Could be a spare bedroom, but it could be a living room. It could be a great room for all we know.
Exactly. So we're going to need a little bit more information to really steer you along the right path. But to drill down into this, the higher prices, the lower wattages of RELs, and the love of the audiophile community, they all sort of paint a picture. And that picture is, this is a subwoofer, this is a company that we like because nobody knows about it other than us, and therefore...
I mean, they're quite big in Europe.
They are.
Quite popular in Europe.
They are, where rooms tend to be a lot smaller, and that you don't have as much space to fill up. And brands like SVS and JL Audio maybe cost a lot more, too. I don't know what the shipping and stuff like that is
this whole connecting it with speaker wire rather than the RCA subwoofer connection, that screams of the catering to the audiophile crowd who believes this is not based on fact, it's not based on blind testing.
No.
It's just based on this long-held belief that your front, left, and right speakers must be set to full range.
Right.
That's where that came from. They're saying the audiophiles already believe, and we're not going to be able to dissuade them of this belief, that their front, left, right speakers must be set to full range. Therefore, we're going to inject our subwoofer into that same signal path by just taking the same speaker wire they're already using and channeling it through our subwoofer on the way to the front, left, right speakers. That's where that came from. It does not sound smoother. It does not help them integrate better with the front, left, or right speakers. Nope. In fact, I would say it is the inferior way to do things, because now your speakers are still attempting to play all the way down to 20 hertz or lower, which A, they probably can't do, and B, even if they could, they're not in the best locations in your room to make that sound nice and linear and even across your seating. So having the RCA sub, now in your case, it doesn't really sound like your integrated amp has a crossover. It's probably not filtering your front, left, right speakers anyway.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another. It's kind of the same outcome.
You're going to get full range out of your speakers no matter what, because of the capabilities of your integrated amp.
But what is nice is that the subwoofer output that you have on that Cambridge is a summed mono subwoofer signal. Yeah. That's important. You want that. The subwoofer signal should be mono. There's no such thing as stereo bass. Doesn't happen until you get above 80 hertz. Then maybe, it's pretty unlikely, but maybe you start to get some stereo separation.
A little bit,
but
not much.
For the subwoofer, it should be a mono signal, so at least you have that. You should absolutely connect using the subwoofer output of your Cambridge. You will need to adjust the crossover knob on the sub to get it to blend smoothly with your speakers that are still getting a full range signal. But that is the correct connection path. The claim that using the speaker wire will somehow make it blend better is complete bunk. That isn't the case. But I know where that came from, right? It's to cater to the audiophile crowd. So you can look at some other specs on the sub. The specs of the subs are all clues. None of them are definitive indicators. You can't just look at one spec and say, that tells me this sub is better than that sub. Doesn't work that easily, but they are clues. And if you look at most of the REL subs, if you look at their frequency response, where they are minus 3 dB, the range of frequencies where they are plus or minus 3 dB, they don't play quite as low as the SVS and the JL Audio. The SVS and JL Audio all play down to 20 hertz or lower. That's just a thing that they do. So any audible sound, they will produce it for you. The REL subs, not necessarily the case. Some of the big ones too from REL, but not mostly.
Right.
You said where you're living, because it could be different in Vietnam, right? Definitely could be different. But you said that the REL subs are more expensive where you are than getting an SVS or JL Audio. That answers the question, as far as I'm concerned.
If you get either one of those two subs, the SVS or JL Audio, you should jump on those.
That's right. If those are less expensive than REL, you are not giving up performance by getting the SVS or the JL Audio. I'm not going to say declaratively that you're getting better performance, but by and large, you're getting better performance with the less expensive option. That's usually a very nice way to go.
I would like to figure out a way that this guy could get a crossover going in this whole thing.
I mean, he could just insert an external high-pass filter onto the speaker output.
Yeah, I suppose that would make sense. I
You
was
could
trying
just
to
do
think of a way of getting a mini DSP into this thing, but
You'd have to have an external
yeah,
amplifier.
you'd have to have an external amp, which wasn't going to work. So, anyways, if that's a different question, but for right now, the answer is why is everybody talking about REL? Because they want to. If you read the SVS literature, they will cater to the audiophile crowd by saying the correct way to do it is this, but if you really want to do it this other way, that's okay too.
Yeah, it'll function.
Then
It'll work.
that's okay too. That's all the stuff the audiophiles want to do. If you want to let it break it in for 40 hours, knock yourself out.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt it.
It's certainly not going to hurt a sub. Go ahead and play test tones for 40 hours. We'll see you later. Then you can tell us how much better it sounded and how much looser or whatever, tighter, or whatever crap it is that you come up with. So let us know what you come up with, and we'd love to hear back from you. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.